Hi everyone, my name is Cheryl. Welcome to my Happy Handcraft Studio. August was a great month. I say that every month, that the months are great, and they really are. I did a lot in August. I really got into my groove with stitching and sewing, reading. So I'm going to share with you some cross stitch. I'm also going to share how I decide which projects I'm going to work on in my other sewing projects. I have a few books to share and my Netflix recommendations for the first time. All right, so cross stitch. I had for Whip Go Kingdom of Books as one of the numbers called. So Kingdom of Books, I'm doing on a 32 count Belfast Linen in Mocha. And my plan for this was to do a book a month. And I caught up and I'm good now to start a new book in September. So that's Kingdom of Books. This was a pattern that I picked up on Etsy. Probably not the best choice. If you were going to do this, I suggest you do some research and find a real pattern that you can honor the person who created it. So Kingdom of Books. My next Whip Go was Queen Elizabeth II in Her Coronation Dress. And I made really good progress on this one as well this month. I had originally put this into my markup RXP, a couple of years ago when I first started it, and my ability to use markup RXP has really improved over time, and so I kind of re-entered it again, and I'm able now to be more comfortable in the stitching. So did a lot in this area here and working across. So, she's coming along. This is a pattern by Teresa Gil. It's called Queen Elizabeth II in Her Coronation Dress, and it's on a 28 count Vintage Blue Cashel. So one of the pieces I try to work on every month since my birthday in April was Mrs. Bunny Plus. Now the goal for this was to do like a bunny a month. Well, I got over to here this month and it was like, well, these are little bunnies. They won't take that long. Couldn't help myself. I had to finish it. Now, a lot of us, we like to put our initials and the year on pieces, but I like to put it so you really can't see that it's there, and then unless you look, and there are my initials and the year. So it's there if I look for it, but it doesn't really jump out. So I was really happy to have this finished. This was a kit. It's a Bucilla kit designed by Katie did. And for the background, I used Michael's fabric. This is a Charlescraft by DMC, green blue in a 14 count. Just a sweet picture. So another piece I try to work on monthly to work on a house. It's this one. Santa brought a Christmas gift. And so this is the house here that I needed to have finished for July, August. But I actually am working almost finished this one for September, October. I'll show you that. So this is the September-October house. I just have a little bit left on the roof. And I'm really happy that it's coming along so well, so that hopefully it can be done by Christmas. So this is from Owl Stitching House, and it's on a 32 count slate blue Lugano. And I'm using the called for DMC. So I'm looking forward to getting a couple more houses done. So I was doing really, really well on my pieces. And so now if you look at my chart, I had just 4 pieces that I'm working on. Sahara and Flowers, which I'll show you in a bit, Santa Brought a Christmas Gift, Kingdom of Books, and Coronation Dress. So those are my 4 pieces. But I want to work on A.B. Single with Carolyn Zook. Well, I only had 4 pieces to choose from. So I started to build it out, what I would do for each letter of the alphabet plus 9 numbers, and decided I needed to start something new. So what I decided to add to it was You Are the Boss, and this is Lori Holt. You are the boss of your own quilt. I thought it was really appropriate for me. I had picked up the pattern and the flosses at the Ujamagramma Fabric and Yarn sale 2 years ago. So it was time to get that started. And I love the bright, happy colors. And I decided I'm going to put it onto this nice white 32 count white Jobelin. So I am really looking forward to getting that a start. And then I'm watching FlossTube, and Diana Bloom Designs had a FlossTube where she introduced a free pattern that she has called Summer Silk Moth. And I'll show a picture of that. A free pattern. I loved it. My last home, I had poppies just like this around our house. I couldn't download that pattern fast enough. And so I decided, yes, this is another one I'm going to start. And I decided to do it on this 32 count blue, royal blue linen. This was from Charlene at the Grateful Thread. I picked that up at Stitch and Stash, the retreat I go to in Edmonton every year. I think I bought this maybe the year before last. And this gives you an idea of some of the colors. Really like those peachy pink colors there. So looking forward to starting that. So I thought, great, I have 2 new starts. That's good. And so I planned my A.B. Single. And then I downloaded another pattern. And this is for Satsuma Street's Holiday House Stitch Along. I love Satsuma House. And when I saw the colors that she was going to be using, I thought this is the kind of a Christmas piece I need for my studio. Nice, bright, happy colors. So not sure. I mean, I looked at the Halloween house. I'm not sure if it was called Monster House, can't remember. She did a Halloween house, I think last year. So I'm using a tea-dyed linen, and these are the colors. So non-traditional, but I have some other Satsuma Christmas things that are in these pinks and purples. So I'm really looking forward to doing that. I think it's a 6-week stitch along. And I have what the layout is here. So now I have 7 projects on the go. So I'm going to have 3 starts in September, and then the 4 that I already have on the go. So I have my ABC and Go list. Because I really want to focus on Queen Elizabeth in her coronation dress, I have her down here for A for anniversary, C for coronation, D for dress, E for Elizabeth, I for the in Queen Elizabeth II, J for Jubilee. I started this as part of her 60th Jubilee. I have Q for Queen, S for second because she's Queen Elizabeth II. I have T for Teresa because Teresa Gil designed the pattern. So she's going to have quite a few opportunities. I also have Kingdom of Books. So I have that B for books, H for houses, K for kingdom, L for library because it's going to be in my library, and R for row of houses. Then for Santa brought a Christmas gift, I have X for Xmas. And then we have numbers this time. So when number 1 is called, you do 1 motif. If 2 is called, you do 2 motifs. So for 1, I have 1 reindeer, then I have 2 reindeer, and then for 3, I have ho, ho, ho. And 8 snowflakes and 9 diamonds that are all part of this pattern. And then for the O, I have owl stitching house. And then I have Sahara and flowers, and that's for flowers, F for flowers, V for Vivster, Vivsters, because that's who the pattern designer is, W for Wright, because it's a Frank Lloyd Wright design. And then the last piece that I have on here is Summer Silk Moth. So M for Moth, N for New Start, P for Poppy, U is for Under the Deck, because in our old house the poppies were under our balcony, and Z for Zen, because it's just a Zen looking pattern. So I have that, and I have my board. So starting September 1st, we'll see what we'll get. But that's not it. Everybody's been talking about gridiron grind. I'm not sure who the original person was. I think her name is Kim, but I don't know her floss tube. I know Stitching Mama is doing it, Carolyn Sook is doing it. Well, I'm not big on football, and in Canada, our football season lasts like a minute. You know, it started and it's over before Christmas. Like it's very short. So we have hockey, and I have a favorite hockey team. So all my friends in Calgary, look away, because I'm going to do cross-check, cross-stitch, because my team are the Oilers. So I'm going to be stitching according to points. So for each goal that the Oilers score, I'm going to stitch 50 stitches. And then I have a favorite player, Leon Draisaitl. Every time he gets a goal, I'm going to stitch 100 stitches, and for each assist, 50 stitches. So ESPN was really nice. They had the schedule. And when you saved the schedule, you could actually edit it. So I could take out all of the different seat prices and all of that kind of thing over here, and I could make it blank. I could also add what I was doing here. So pre-season starts September the 21st, and what's interesting is on September the 21st, the Oilers have 2 games. Because this is pre-season, they'll be splitting up the team. Half of the team will be playing in Edmonton against the Calgary Flames, and the other half of the team is going to Calgary to play the Flames. So I could have a lot of stitches that day, for that day. Just something fun to work on. Now, I did figure out before I started just how many points, or an average number of points, and how many goals Draisaitl scored last year, so that I would know that I could actually manage that. So I've got cross-check, cross-stitch. My Calgary friends are all going to hope that I have hardly any stitches in this book. Now, what am I going to be stitching on? Well, I'm going to be stitching on these Sahara and flowers. So this is, like I said, from Vivster, and it is based on a Frank Lloyd Wright design, and it's on a 14 count fiddler's cloth in light oatmeal. This one's an easy one to stitch. You know, it's blocks of colors, so it should be fine. So, from a person who hardly had any pieces on any whips, I now have 7. It's exciting. But what was also nice was I had room that I could put new things in without a worry. It was great. All right, so getting things done. I like to do a lot of things in my sewing studio, and I have a lot on the go. And sometimes what takes the most time is deciding. And so I use a tiny decision wheel. And so I'll do a little video here of how I used the tiny decision wheel to decide what I was working on in December. So the first time I spun the wheel, it landed on BB&B, so Bags, Babies, and Beyond. This is the artisan makers sale that we have in Calgary to support the Ujamagrammas, Stephen Lewis Foundation. And I knew I wanted to make something for that. And so that was my next focus. And what I decided to make were pen pouches. And this idea I got from Juniper Jane Craft. I did enlarge it from the pattern that she had. And they've already gone, so all I have is a picture. I love these for putting them onto my journals, my planners. Then I always have a pen right there. So that was done, spun the decision wheel again. And this time I got X stitch FFO. So I have to fully finish an item. And so for this one, I decided to fully finish one of the monthly bouquets from Jeanette Douglas. This one was kind of a, I don't know, September looking one. And I had some great homespun fabric that I used for this. And so that's a great piece now to put out in the autumn. Spun the wheel again. And this time it came up with a charity sale. So I went looking in a bin of project ideas, and I found projects that had already been started or cut out that I hadn't finished. The first one was this little flower pouch. All I had to do was sew one side, I think, and it was done. And then I had these two vintage needlework pouches, all sewn, all cut out, ready to be sewed. And so that took like no time. Now those have already gone to Calgary for Bags, Babies, and Beyond. Spun the wheel again. This time I got Battle River Quilt Guild, Royal City Quilt Guild. So I knew I would be doing something for one of my quilt guilds. And just at that time, the Royal City Quilt Guild was hosting a summer mystery quilt. And so that is what I worked on. I had, because it's a mystery, you don't know how it's going to look at the end, and they just tell you lights, mediums, and darks. And so I made these blocks, and then I wasn't sure how to put them together into a quilt. And so I took pictures of the 4 different kinds of blocks, photocopied them, and then I was able on my pages to move them around until I had a design that I liked. And I'll show you that. All right, so the next spin, I think, okay, well, I'm not sure if I did another Royal City Quilt Guild piece, because we were learning a new technique on how to sew curves. And so this was a tutorial. We had an instructor on Zoom show us how she made them. And then again, I made the blocks, took a picture of the blocks, cut them apart, moved them around, and then sewed them together. The next spin, family history. So when we moved, I packed up maybe 5 or 6 boxes of things that were family history. Pictures, papers, artifacts. I don't want 5 or 6 boxes of these things anymore. So I started the process of figuring out what our family history is, and what I can see as the final product is a photo book, or is a book with writing and pictures about my mother's family. So that was the start. I have a new decision wheel where I separated the Battle River Quilt Guild and the Royal City Quilt Guild, because we're getting into September. I have a lot of quilt tops that need to be finished, and so that's a priority. I kept Baguettes, the bag making group I'm with, on, but I took out Bags, Babies, and Beyond and charity sales. I took that out because we've stopped collecting for this year's October sale. You know, it's the last days for dropping things off are now, so that our custodians can price everything and have them ready. And for the charity sale, which will be here, it doesn't start again till December. And those are small projects, so I can decide in October to add it back. I did make sure that family history had 2 slots, because I really want to focus on getting boxes gone through and put away. So that worked great. Next spin I did was the Battle River Quilt Guild. And when that one came up, I decided that I wanted to do the quilt that has one of the quilts been around the longest, and that is this Quilt As You Go quilt. I'll just show a little bit here. I have a picture of it. Now I call this the Canalta kit. For people who aren't familiar, Canalta is a name of a Western Canada hotel chain. And that's where we stayed for just about a month when we moved. And I was well prepared. I packed my sewing machine and my fabric all ready to go to the hotel. So every day I could work on my quilt. And I did. Now I made this quilt as a car quilt. I saw a quilter on YouTube talk about how whenever a family member started to drive, she made them a car quilt. A quilt that you can use to wrap things in if you're moving furniture, or if you have a pet in the car, or in Canada, if you get stopped on a cold night, you got a quilt. So this is a car quilt. So it's made of, it doesn't have a fleece or a flannel on it. It has this same hard surface cotton. It's like a cotton canvas, actually, that I made this from. It isn't a quilter's cotton, so it'll be very sturdy. Perfect if you need it for a park bench or for a picnic. All right, so that one was done. Then I spun again and got family history. And you know, it's interesting when you do family history, the things you find, things that are so touching. Two of the things I found were a little Christmas card that my grandfather sent to my grandmother before they were married, and then a thank you postcard from my maternal great-grandmother to my two great-grandmothers, my grandfather's mother and my grandmother's mother, had a card back and forth thanking for some canning jars. Just thought it was great. It's always so wonderful to see handwriting of these people. Then on my wheel, the next thing I spun, it came out home. I decided I needed home on the wheel. There are things around here that I need to do, and I want to do them. Well, this one took like maybe 15 minutes. We had painted our 2 bathrooms. The white ceiling had a little bit of paint on it. So I got white acrylic paint, and I took my paintbrush and I touched up all those little areas that had a little bit of the wrong color paint on them. So it took no time. I spun again, and I got Royal City Quilt Guild. Now for this one, I finished up my Scrappy Islands quilt. So this is part of like Stash Busters, where we're trying to use up fabric we have. And so this is the one that I finished, and I have a picture of it. And this one has a really nice green flannel backing. It'll be very cozy. And this will be a charity quilt. So this is for, it's a from the Royal City Quilt Guild, but it'll be a charity quilt for the Battle River Quilt Guild. I did the decision wheel again, and this time I got another cross stitch FFO. And for this one, I did another Jeanette Douglas monthly stitching. And that's done. Now, This one I'm done, so I could just pop it out and do others. We'll see. There were 12 of these. Now, I'm not sure how many I have left, but there's still a few. And I spun again, and this time I got baguettes. So when I think about baguettes, it's really like baguettes, Bags, Babies, and Beyond sale. And one of the things that we do is we have a secret auction. And this year it will actually be at the event. And what I prepped for it was a quilter's advent box. And so I've collected fabric and notions and handmade items, and they're all individually wrapped in this box. And we're hoping that people will bid on it, and some quilter will really enjoy opening it day by day. All right, that's all the spins that I've recorded. Not sure what else I did. I have spun 2 more, but you'll just have to stay tuned to find out what those were and what I finished. So if you saw my board for cross stitch, I also have the same board for quilting. And so, as you can see, I have a lot of quilting going on. I have my TBS, which is my to be started. So these are 3 kits that I have that are that I haven't started. They're in the closet ready to go. I have 3 quilts, 3 kits that I've done some of the cutting, but I haven't pieced it yet. And then I have 2 quilts that I've been working on piecing them. So they might be a top, or they have blocks ready to be put together. For quilting, I have 6 quilts where the top is done, but I need to sandwich it. I need to put the batting and the backing together and quilt it. And as soon as that's done, then it goes into binding. And then the last stage, I have the label and photo journal. So when I finish a quilt, I like to, I have a journal that sometime I could show you where I have a photo of it. I have sort of the history or any comments I might have about it, the size, etc. So that's the last stage. When these are done, then it's completely off. So one of the reasons I'm really wanting to work on these quilts is I need to move more to being finished. The reason I don't usually have so many quilts in this area of tops being done, but in the spring I really wanted to use a lot of my fabrics so that at the fabric and yarn sale I would have room to buy more for this year's quilting. So that's that. So for reading, oh my gosh, like I'm on my 6th book for August right now that I will probably finish today or tomorrow. I think one of the main reasons was I was listening to books on CD while I was sewing. And so, a couple of those books were really easy to read because I was sewing at the time, which is great. So of all the books, I have 3 that I want to share with you. So the first one is called The Good Sister, and it's by Sally Hepworth. This is an Australian writer, and this is one I listened to. Fern Castle works in her local library. She spends a lot of time with her twin sister, Rose. Fern avoids crowds, bright lights, and noise. She has a very structured life. When Rose discovers she cannot get pregnant, Fern sees this as a chance to repay her sister. She just needs to find the father. So if you like books about people who are neurodiverse, I would say this is great. Also, a really interesting book with twists. Again, it's kind of a mystery. You don't really figure that out when you're first reading it, but it is. Next one of my 5-star reads for this month was Americanah by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. This one I read for my Ujamagramma book club. We read books about Africa or from African authors. So this is about 2 young people in Nigeria who are young and in love, and the greatest desire of these young people is to really do well at school, to graduate, to be able to go to an American university, and to be able to stay in America. The young woman, she is able to go to the U.S. The young man isn't able to, but he goes to England. And it talks about their struggles in both countries to be allowed to stay or to be successful, to figure out how life is so different in a different country. Not every person who wants to move to another country can do it successfully. And sometimes even if they can do it successfully, home has a real draw. They want to, there's a reason to go back. I found it thought-provoking. You know, they're all trying for a better life, but it tells the story of how hard it is to live where you always feel different. It was really well done. And then the last book I read was Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Joan Goodwin fulfills her dream of becoming an astronaut. She meets the love of her life. She has the job she loves. And what this book does is it takes you back and forth between Joan's life when she first comes to NASA and takes part in the astronaut program and what's that like, and then to maybe 3 or 4 years past that, where she is at mission control and she has a group of her colleagues in space in difficulty. It was really good. It was really hard to read the last pages through the tears. I love this book. I mean, it shows that, you know, families can have many different forms. It's definitely about what is courage and what is character. And my favorite quote from it was, "You have to have something on the line to call it character." It's great. And then finally, what I've been watching on Netflix. So I'm usually watching YouTube, but for some reason I saw Netflix. I guess it was probably, you're paying for Netflix, you really should watch some. And so the first thing I watched was Leanne. And Leanne is it's a character that Leanne Morgan portrays. 16 episodes, and one of the producers or directors is Chuck Lorre, so Big Bang Theory. It was just so funny. So Leanne, after 33 years of marriage, her husband leaves her for another woman. And so she needs to start a new chapter in her life. And luckily, she has her sister Carol, who helps her along. Ryan Stiles is the husband. Ryan Stiles from Whose Line Is It Anyway? I've liked him since the Drew Carey show. Like, he's a favorite. So I really enjoyed it. Watched all 16 episodes. They're short episodes. And then I also watched another series called Man on the Inside. And this is Ted Danson. So he plays a recently widowed man, Charlie Neuendijk, who's really at a loss for what to do with himself. And then he sees an ad in the paper seeking a mole for a retirement community. So he's going to go into this retirement community to find out who the thief is. And, great characters. Like, there's a real market right now for old people. I really quite like that. I might have a new career. And then, speaking of that, I also watched the movie The Thursday Murder Club. So this is based on Richard Osman's book, which I read and enjoyed. This is more on the cozy mystery side. And, there's been mixed reviews for this movie. But when it was over, I wanted more movie. So it was great. So 4 retirees spend their time solving cold case murders for fun. They live in this luxurious retirement community called Cooper's Chase. So this is an England-based or UK-based book, movie, and oh my gosh, if you see where they live, it's like, yeah, sign me up. It was wonderful. So the stars are Helen Mirren, Pierce Brosnan, Ben Kingsley, and Celia Emmer. That's hard to beat. Now, some people, they're not the movie critics, like, maybe it's not fine art, I don't know. It was enjoyable. So you decide if you like it or not. So do any of you use a tiny decision wheel? Like, it's amazing for me. We make enough decisions. I kind of know what I want to work on. You decide. It's kind of like, what are we going to have for supper tonight? I think I'm going to put that into a decision wheel. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.